prisoner ready.
The story begins in Paris, 1931. A clever thief named Papillon roamed the streets, a man so skilled at picking locks it was as if his fingers were touched by magic. One night, after pulling off a big heist, he handed over a stash of stolen diamonds to his boss. But the look in the boss's eyes said it all. Suspicion. With a cold, sharp voice, he asked, "You sure you didn't keep any for yourself?" Papillon met his gaze and denied it firmly. Just then, a couple of thugs dragged in a half-dead man, beaten to the edge of life. The boss turned to Papillon and growled, "If you ever lie to me, you'll end up just like him." For a moment, Papillon's heart froze. Then, with his usual calm, he took his share of the cash and walked out, pretending nothing could shake him. He went straight to his lover, Nanette, and surprised her with a sparkling necklace. Yes, he had kept a few diamonds for himself, but fate was already watching. An unknown man nearby caught sight of the glittering necklace. Unaware of the danger closing in, Papillon and Nanette spent the evening together. That night, lying in each other's arms, Nanette whispered softly, "All I want is a little house, far from this world of crime. Just peace, you and me." But destiny had written a crueler story. The next morning, a loud knock echoed through their door. Police. They had come to arrest Papillon for murder. The victim? The same half-dead man his boss had beaten the night before. No matter how much Papillon protested his innocence, the police didn't care. They dragged him away in chains. And as the prison gates shut behind him, he knew there was only one way out: escape.
Come on. Come on.
Inside that cold, dark cell, Papillon met another inmate, Julot. Julot leaned in and whispered, "If you want to get out of here, you'll need money. A lot of it." He nodded toward a quiet man sitting in the corner, Degas. "That guy's your ticket. He's got cash hidden inside his belly." Degas had once been rich, living a life of luxury, until he was caught counterfeiting. Now he was just another prisoner trying to survive. Soon, all of them were herded onto a ship, bound for the notorious French Guiana penal colony. That night, Papillon told Degas, "Give me money and I'll protect you inside." But Degas refused. Then fate made its move again. Later that night, Degas saw a horrifying scene. One of the prisoners beside him was murdered in his sleep. The killer slit open his stomach to steal the hidden money. Terrified, Degas made his choice. By morning, he agreed to Papillon's deal. Degas still didn't want to escape. He believed his wife would find a legal way to free him, but fate wasn't done yet. That night, the same killer crept toward Degas, knife in hand. Just as he was about to strike, Papillon leapt from the shadows and tackled him. A brutal fight broke out, ending with Papillon killing the attacker. The noise drew the guards. Papillon was punished severely, yet through all the pain, a faint smile touched his face. He'd saved the one man who trusted him. The next morning, the prisoners finally arrived at the penal colony, a living hell on earth. One inmate purposely injured himself to get sent to the prison infirmary, hoping to escape through its weaker security. Everywhere Papillon looked, there were hardened criminals, murderers, and madmen. Then the warden appeared, cold, merciless, his voice echoing through the yard. "Don't even think about escaping. That's the only way you'll stay alive. First escape, 2 years in solitary. Second, 3 more years. But a third attempt, and you're going to Devil's Island, where men lose their minds before they die. And if anyone kills, you'll be executed right here in front of everyone." After that speech, the prisoners were thrown into brutal labor, carrying heavy stones under a scorching tropical sun. Days passed. Papillon met a sailor who promised him a boat in exchange for money. They agreed to meet at the shore the next night, but word spread fast, too fast. A brutal prisoner overheard their plan and attacked Degas for the cash. Papillon fought like a beast, beat the attacker, and saved Degas' life again. That moment changed everything for Degas. He realized that without Papillon, he wouldn't last another day in that place. There was now only one way forward: escape, together.
Keep it moving.
The next morning, all the inmates were gathered in the prison yard. The scene was horrifying. One of the prisoners had murdered 2 guards while trying to escape. The punishment was just as brutal. Within seconds, his head was chopped off. The sight was so terrifying that it sent chills down everyone's spine. Afterward, the warden ordered Papillon and Degas to carry the dead prisoner's body to the cremation grounds. On the way, Degas' face went pale, and he suddenly started gagging. He had never been that close to a corpse before. Papillon tried to calm him down, but Degas couldn't control his fear. Then a furious guard showed up and began whipping him mercilessly. Papillon couldn't take it anymore. Overcome with rage, he grabbed a nearby stone and smashed it against the guard's head. No one saw it coming. The moment after, Papillon ran for his life. Poor Degas, frozen in fear, couldn't even move.
Pick him up.
That night, under the cover of darkness, Papillon snuck down to the riverbank to meet the boatman. But as soon as he asked for a boat, the man burst into laughter, like it was some kind of joke. When Papillon turned around, he saw guards surrounding him from all sides. That's when he realized the truth. The boatman was actually a paid informant who tipped off the warden about escape attempts. Within minutes, Papillon was dragged back to prison. The warden told him the guard he had attacked had survived, so he wouldn't be executed. But for attempting to escape, he'd now be sent to another island to serve a punishment far worse: solitary confinement. When Papillon arrived at that dreadful island, his heart sank. In the previous prison, at least inmates could talk to each other. But here he was thrown into a tiny dark cell, completely alone, forbidden to make even the slightest sound. Even muttering to himself was considered an offense. His only food was a bland, tasteless soup. Then, one day, something strange happened. A coconut appeared in his meal. Curious, he cracked it open and found a small note inside. It said he would receive a coconut every day from now on. Papillon instantly realized it was from Degas. Weeks passed like that, but eventually the warden found out. Enraged, he executed the guard responsible for delivering Papillon's meals. After that, the warden interrogated Papillon brutally, demanding to know who was behind it. But Papillon said nothing. Furious, the warden ordered that from then on he would only receive half a bowl of soup a day. Days passed, and Papillon grew frail and skeletal from hunger. One day, the warden again demanded to know who had sent the coconuts, but Papillon refused to speak. In a fit of rage, the warden declared that the rest of his sentence would be spent in complete darkness. That's when things became unbearable. Papillon could barely eat, couldn't talk to anyone, and sat surrounded by endless darkness. Slowly, starvation and isolation began to break his mind. He grew so weak he could barely move, forcing the guards to send him to the prison hospital. By chance, Degas was working there. Over the past year, he had earned the warden's complete trust. When he visited Papillon, he discovered that Papillon was only pretending to be insane, hoping it would get him transferred back to the regular prison. Soon after, the two of them planned another escape, but this time they decided to include 2 more inmates. Papillon chose a strong prisoner named Cellier, while Degas picked Maturette, a timid man who was often bullied. According to their plan, Degas handed over all his savings to Cellier to buy a boat. The next night, while everyone was distracted watching a film, the 4 men made their move. Degas' heart was racing with fear, but Papillon reminded him that this was their last shot. As planned, Degas served drinks to the guards, drinks secretly laced with sleeping pills. Then he waited for the right moment to steal the gate key. Meanwhile, Papillon and the others waited in the shadows. Suddenly, storm clouds rolled in, and it began pouring rain. Lightning flashed, plunging everything into darkness. Cellier urged them to escape immediately, but Papillon refused to leave without Degas. Luckily, right then, Degas arrived with the keys. Taking advantage of the chaos, the 4 men unlocked the gate and slipped away into the stormy night. After running for miles, they reached the end of the path. The only way forward was to jump into the river below. Papillon, Cellier, and Maturette dove in. But as Degas prepared to jump, another lightning flash startled him. He slipped and crashed hard to the ground, badly injuring himself. Cellier said they should leave him behind, but Papillon couldn't. With Maturette's help, he carried Degas to the riverbank where their boat was waiting. Without wasting a second, they set sail into the dark, raging sea. Hours later, as dawn broke, Cellier realized they hadn't gotten very far. The small boat couldn't handle the weight of all 4 men. Then, they saw a violent storm fast approaching. Time was running out. Suddenly, Cellier lunged at Degas, trying to throw him overboard. But Papillon stopped him, and the two fought fiercely. Cillier was stronger and nearly overpowered Papillon when Degas, using every ounce of his strength, stabbed Cillier in the back. Cillier gasped and collapsed. Papillon and Degas threw his body into the sea, but the storm soon consumed them all, and everything went black. When they woke up, they found themselves on an island. Some local villagers had rescued them after spotting their boat drifting in the water. A nun arrived and told Papillon that the island was part of Colombia. That evening, Papillon told Degas they needed to leave right away, but Degas refused. He was tired of running. He wanted a quiet, peaceful life. In the end, Papillon decided to go alone. But just as he was preparing to leave, he saw police officers nearby and instantly realized that the cunning nun had betrayed them. Alarmed, he rushed to wake Degas, but it was too late. The officers surrounded them. During the chaos, Maturette was caught and shot dead. Papillon and Degas were captured and sent back to prison once again. 5 years later, Papillon had finally served his Blackwater sentence. Now he was being transferred to Devil's Island, one of the most feared prisons in the world. The moment he arrived, he froze in disbelief. Degas was there too. Turns out, Degas had spiked the officers' drinks with drugs and got caught, which landed him on Devil's Island long before Papillon. After 5 long years apart, the two friends were overwhelmed with emotion when they saw each other again. That evening, sitting by the rocky shoreline with the ocean stretching endlessly before them, Papillon suddenly had an idea. He told Degas, "If we build a small raft, the waves will carry us across by themselves." But Degas refused. "Brother," he said quietly, "do whatever you want, but don't pull me into this." Degas had found a strange kind of peace there. His wife had moved on, started a new life with someone else, and for him, there wasn't much left on the outside. Still, out of loyalty and friendship, he helped Papillon tie together a rough raft made from coconut logs. The next morning, they embraced for the last time. "Take care, my friend," Papillon said. Degas nodded, holding back tears. Papillon pushed the raft into the water and leapt aboard. Miraculously, his plan worked. The waves began carrying him away from Devil's Island. Degas stood there watching, his eyes filling with tears as Papillon drifted farther and farther toward freedom. Years later, we see Papillon as an old man, sitting in an office across from a publisher. He's just finished writing down his entire life story, every struggle, every escape, every heartbreak. He tells the publisher, "My wife once told me, your story deserves to be heard by the whole world." The publisher listens in awe, deeply moved by every word. And with that, Papillon's story comes to an end, not as a prisoner, but as a man who refused to let his spirit be caged.